Certainly, thank you. Generally what we do in that first community engagement program is we bring the community up to speed by letting them know what happened in the survey phase, how the program of requirements was developed, what went into that process, go over the timeline pieces that you've had the benefit of seeing here, and then present them with a floor plan, for lack of a better way of saying it, for the building, laying out all those physical spaces that we've been identifying. We show them some of the layout on the site based on the topography of the site, where it best fits, how it'll be oriented on the site, and then some preliminary elevations so they can begin to see the character of the building taking shape and give us some feedback on those elements of design, and then come back as those are refined down the road.
Okay. We're going to be having somewhat of a parallel process going on that we're going to need to talk with you about, obviously, as it relates to any of the enhancement pieces that are outside of the public realm, but rather with private dollars. And we know that there's a timing issue associated with any kind of major structural changes. So perhaps that's something that, is there someone within your firm that we should be talking with so that as we plan that first public engagement piece? Syed, would that be you? Okay.
You can talk to me or
okay.
you know.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
I had a question about being involved with the JVS and with the green, with going green in the home that we built. I have a question because as we get into this and there are different contractors that specialize in different areas and different materials, and as we're beginning into this process, do you have an individual that identified for your firm that is the person to go to ask those questions about those materials? There's a lot of new information about shorter payback periods, and there's a lot of new information out there. Do you have an individual that looks over and would be the person to go to for questions about that?
Well, I'll speak first from Regency's point of view. The Green Building Coalition has a accreditation for staff members that we have. It's called a LEED certification or LEED accreditation.
Yes.
And Regency has LEED accredited people on staff who have gone through the testing process. We right now have a process going on where we're training 14 additional staff members to be LEED accredited also.
Great.
So it is a big push in our industry. OSFC is also pushing it very highly.
Yes.
That's why we're going through the conductivity test so we can get some geothermal.
Yes.
So yes, we do have LEED accredited staff members who have been tested and actually now would answer those questions on our behalf. And then I'm sure that Syed's group also has LEED accredited staff members. Is that a nod back there? Okay. Yeah.
Because and again, as we talk about the process of bringing the community on board, and this is to be what the community values, and we need to be able to know that we can get those associated costs and payback periods and really have an opportunity to make decisions that are based on up-to-date facts.
Mm-hmm. This conductivity test that's going on right now will allow us to determine how receptive the soil is to geothermal. And I think it's like a $12,000 proposal that we've already submitted or about ready to submit. I think you've approved that.
Yes.
And so that information will be coming in about another month, and then that's used by the engineers to start designing or at least anticipate what the design of the mechanical and electrical systems might be. So no, we are real big. We're targeting at least another dozen employees by the end of this year to be LEED accredited. So green is now. It is easier to be green. Even though Kermit thought it was easy to be green, it is really easy to be green.
And I think as we continue and we see where we're moving along, that having those individuals that can provide some associated cost and make some decisions that are based on up to the date, because there's been a lot of new information, a lot of new data out there about payback periods are shorter, and there are some, there are a lot of new, there's a lot of new information, so I'm pleased to hear that we have that, and we have that as a resource to go to.
What's even more encouraging, today we learned that there were 2 major projects bid through OSFC process that came in at or under budget with geothermal, which 6 months ago we would have thought that would never have happened. But the economy of what it is today, it's going to be a great time to bid a project, but also take the opportunity to capture the green concept into the building program.
Absolutely, and in reading and all of that data that's out there, great strides have been made, so we really need to be aware of that.
Any other questions?
Does the audience have a question?
Should we encourage that? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The audience have a question?
Yeah. We'd like to use these opportunities, since you're going to be presenting this to us once a month, and give the public, typically at a board meeting, there's not always a give and take of question and answer, but these are going to be different, and so any of the people that are sitting in the audience, we would like them to have opportunities to ask any of you questions also. So I would like to ask anybody in the audience if they've got a specific question that they'd like to direct up here, and we'll do this every month through this entire project and allow audience participation. So, and I realize it might have taken everybody off guard here, but in the future, and certainly tonight too, but in the future, we would like to encourage people to take part in these discussions because it's important that everybody get a chance to ask their questions. So do we have any questions in the audience? Yes.
Excuse me, can we use the microphone?
Yeah, we need.
Oh, by the way, Bob Teitenberg's home phone number is?
Could you please state your name just before you speak?
My name is Fred Wright. I'm the president and CEO of the Lorain County Urban League, which is located on 401 Broad Street, Suite B in downtown Elyria. These seats are not really made for a big man, so I'm going to kind of sit down. But I did hear some good things tonight here, and we have been meeting. We meet with the superintendent monthly or every other month. But one of the things that we want to try to make sure, and it's a difficult task, but we want to make sure that there's minority participation in the building of the school, and we'd like to see some goals set. I don't, maybe 10%, 15%. I'm not sure what that would be, but one of the things that the Urban League is going to be doing, along with some other minority advocates in the community, is trying to make sure that we get as many minority contractors in tune with the project. We were the ones who started the Diversity Business to Business Conference, and then we partnered with L3C and 2 other organizations. This will be the 3rd annual one, so I was glad to hear. And when you called about being part of the expo, I think that's a great thing, getting people information on the EDGE certification and the other things that will put folks in position to be able to participate in the building of this new school. For the board, I think you're doing a good job in trying to make sure that communication comes out into the community about the project. But one thing I did talk to Paul about, and that I was involved with the Lorain City Schools project, is Lorain City Schools set up a group which was called the Bond Oversight Committee. And that committee was made up of school personnel and people in the community who got information about the building and all of the contractor information at every meeting going forward. And that kept us in tune, and I served on that for about 2 years, and there's still some folks who are serving on that committee. So that kept the community kind of in tune and involved in knowing what was going on and how to participate in that project. And although you have community forums in which I see you're going to have, it's kind of difficult unless you come, like Paul was saying, and sit down and go through all of them binders and whatnot. That's pretty difficult to stay in tune. You'll kind of be getting information sort of after the fact, after it is proposed, after it is done. So that's something I would throw out for some food for thought for the board to think about in your community participation. The other thing is trying to make sure that folks who are unskilled in Lorain County and Elyria You know, there is a high degree of unemployment, especially for minorities, and if there is an opportunity to get unskilled labor onto these jobs through the contractors, through the subcontractors, is another